Good afternoon and welcome to H360 Live. My name is Dave Duplay. I'm joined here in the studio this afternoon with my friend, my colleague from Healthy h360, Miss Courtland Long. Courtland, how are you doing today?
I'm well, Dave. How are you?
What do you think about this drop in temperature?
Oh my God, it is frigid. I don't know if I can handle it, but I'll just keep bundling up.
Yeah, remember we talked a couple days ago on a daily dose, I believe it was, about layering.
Yes, yeah.
And so now is the perfect time to start layering up. Remember in New York City, or it doesn't really have to be in New York City, but in a lot of older buildings, you can't really control the temperature. The heat is either on or it's off. So now is a good time to take our advice about layering, bundle up, layer up, go outside when it's cold. When you come in, de-layer so you don't sweat on the inside and then go out all sweated up and then you get sick.
Yeah, I mean, layering also is really great when you are getting on the subway because sometimes they blast the heat in the subway cars and you're all bundled up, so then you can take off a few layers. It's good for that too.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we've got an interesting show for you today. We are going to be featuring elderly health. Now, you're going to notice we don't have a guest today because we want to really focus on this very important topic of elderly health. And we're going to do it in 3 buckets to make it easy for everyone to understand and make it easier for me not to lose my place in the program. So we're going to focus on 3 things today in terms of elderly health. Courtland, we're going to talk about proper nutrition, and that is very critical. We're going to be talking about fitness, and Courtland, you know that doesn't only mean physical fitness.
It also means mental fitness.
Absolutely, so we're going to shine the spotlight on that. We are also going to talk about social interaction, which is very, very critical as you get up there in the years.
Definitely, being an isolated elderly is a very important topic that we're going to discuss and how you can be socially integrated within the community.
Absolutely. But first, Courtland, as always, we've got a couple of health tips that we're going to talk about. And these are really timely because I think, with the new year just starting out and with New Year's resolutions, this is the appropriate time to talk about this.
Yes, I'm really excited to talk about these health tips because I think they're really going to help everyone stay on track with their New Year's resolutions and also just goals that you make for yourself every single day. So our very first tip is to complete or kill. Now I know this sounds really intense, but it's honestly not that bad. So what we're really saying here is that your goal or your resolution should be important enough for you to really commit to completing this goal. And if it's not, then maybe you should consider revising it or just getting rid of the goal.
Yeah, putting lists together for list's sake doesn't really get it, right?
No.
So I agree with you 100%. Complete or kill. Make sure when you're looking at your list of things that you need to do or your New Year's resolutions, most people have more than one. I know I do.
Yeah, I have about 2 or 3.
Yep. So, make sure that you're going to complete them and that you can complete them or get them off the list altogether.
Yeah, take them in small steps.
Yeah, I really like this one. Okay, so let's move on to tip number 2 because this is an important one as well. And it is, if you commit to nothing, you are distracted by everything. Now, wow, this is really, really true because I see so many people who really aren't committed to what they're doing and they have so many distractions, and that is really not good.
Yeah, it's really important to commit to your goal by talking to your friends or your family about it, tweet about your goals, post on Facebook about your goals, and people will check in with you on it. So I've really been talking to a lot of my friends about one of my goals is to get up early at least 1 day a week. It's going to be Wednesday, so we'll see what happens tomorrow. Get up early to go to the gym before going to work. And so a couple of my friends have actually stepped forward to say, I want to do that with you. I'll meet you at the gym at 6:30 in the morning and, we'll get that workout in and then we can go to work and the day is going to be great.
Well, okay, I have 2 comments. The first comment on this is you must have some awesome friends. To get up out of bed, especially in the winter when you're in bed and it's so warm and you're in your apartment, to
cold,
get up,
dark mornings.
Yeah, and walk out. Walk to the gym. It's bitter cold out. So you must have some awesome friends. That's point number 1. Point number 2, you're absolutely right because your other goal is to cook at home more often.
Yep.
During the week.
Yeah, starting with 3 nights a week. So, I think it's really important. You'll notice I'm not saying cook at home in general or get up early in general. I have very clear, measurable goals here, and I think that's important to help you tackle these goals.
Yeah, that really is so important, right? They have to be measurable. And so, Courtland, I think we have one more tip for our
Yes.
audience today, which I really like this last tip, and I'm hoping you're going to share it with us.
I will. So tip number 3 is that it doesn't matter how long your goal will take to complete it, just get it started. So, people always say the journey always begins with that first step. So it's really important to choose a start date and really commit to that date and start your goal journey on that specific date.
I really like that saying, the journey begins with the first step, because it's so true, right?
Yeah.
So we're all about talking about putting these goals into place, committing or killing, right? If you commit to nothing, you're distracted by everything. And to wrap it all up, it doesn't matter how long it takes, just begin the journey. The journey
Yeah.
begins with the first step. So that kind of rounds out the health tips. I think that was a fantastic one, because it really does start with the first step. And, I think you hit on a good point earlier, because you're talking about measurable goals. So if you say to yourself, well, my goal is to lose 40 pounds over the course of the year, you have to break that out. So maybe you break it out into the 4 quarters and you say, you know what, I'm going to divide that up equally, and I'm going to measure my progress along the way. I've committed to that. I'm keeping it on my list. I'm not killing it, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not distracted because I have quarterly goals in place, and I've begun the journey with the first step, and that's to get me to my first quarter goal. For the overall goal, of course, is at the end of the year, I want to lose 40 pounds or whatever that happens to be.
Yeah, I think if you have a larger goal and you break it up into smaller, more easily achievable goals, it makes it a lot easier for you to accomplish that goal. If you just get stuck on that 40 pounds and you're not, getting there as quickly as you'd like to, I think it's easy to become really discouraged by that. But if you have these smaller goals and you see that you are chipping away at it, it will be easier for you to complete it.
Absolutely. Great health tip.
Thank you.
I really liked it. Okay, now, you know what time it is now, because we've got our interns that we send out into
Yeah.
the field every week to go to Bryant Park and see just what New Yorkers think about some of our health tips, New Year's resolutions, and they probably threw in a couple of surprise questions just for good measure. Courtland, you want to watch with me?
I would love to.
Okay, guys, can you roll the tape for me?
Did you make a New Year's resolution?
I did somewhat. I've been having this resolution for a while, but this is I'm trying to make sure that I can get better at my time management.
Okay.
No, not this year, but I always do New Year's resolutions.
Okay. So, why not this year?
Because I never do it, honestly.
Okay.
But my resolution is more of I'm planning for 2017 more than this year, yeah.
Okay.
I usually try to stay away from them because I always break them.
Some people have a rough time completing goals due to a mental block. So, what would you suggest to those people in terms of overcoming that challenge?
I mean, it will be like finding an inspiration or something that make them get to the goal easier.
Okay. Yeah.
I think it's just kind of starting small. I mean, I think it's always I know that that's something that I always struggle with. I aim big, but I realize that it's always just the little by little. I heard today that they were saying you got to prep yourself.
Dedicate yourself more
Okay, yeah.
so that way there's no distractions.
It's hard to keep yourself on track, but if you surround yourself with people who are constantly encouraging you, it's better to, it helps you stay on track, or if you make your goals public.
When having a goal that has a faraway end date, does that deter you from starting that goal?
No, because I usually my kind of thing is if it has a faraway end date, I'm trying to also train for a half marathon, which is which is a faraway end date. But I kind of have goals in between. I think that's what I was telling one of my friends the other day. It's called it's not. I kind of apply it to just everything. The Pomodoro technique, which is you have almost every 25-minute break, but this I take it in a long-term thing where it's just every couple of days, this is the goal, so this is the end date, so then it seems a lot closer.
Yeah.
I usually try to tell myself, the time's gonna pass anyway, so you might as well start whenever you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just gotta, I think, create a goal every month
Uh-huh.
and then just set one and keep to it, or maybe even have a calendar.
The farther you have your goal,
Uh-huh.
or as much time that you got for getting to the goal, it makes it harder.
Harder, yeah.
Yeah, because otherwise you don't have a deadline or do you impress yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Have you completed a goal that was very challenging at a certain point in your life?
Yeah, I would say I used to be over 200 pounds, and I lost like 50 pounds in 4 months, 5 months actually. Yeah, so that was pretty difficult.
Like I wanted to do MMA, so I'm still training, but I still have personal issues and things of that sort. So kind of, yeah.
Not so far.
So right now I'm in the medical program at Brooklyn College with SUNY Downstate. So there, it's challenging just to even like to get there was challenging because I had to put a lot of work into that to get there and to maintain it. I think it was hard to get there first of all. Once you're there, once you're in a difficult like program, it's like maintaining it is a challenge.
Well, Courtland, what'd you think?
I loved that video. Some people had really awesome goals. You know, the ice skater in the fuzzy hat, he wanted to be an MMA fighter, I think.
Yeah.
So that was really interesting. And then, you know, a lot of people talked about, as we said in our health tips, making your goals public, talking to your friends about it so they help to keep you accountable.
Yeah, so the guy with the fuzzy hat, MMA is mixed martial arts, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And he's wearing that fuzzy hat.
Yeah.
Interesting, right?
Well, it was pretty cold out that day, so.
It was. He was on ice skates.
Yeah.
So
He's dressed appropriately.
He's dressed. I could see that. Okay, and then the college student, right? Had a lot of good things to say, and then of course, you know, the folks talking about making your goals public, and we've hit on that, right? Because you know, we know that you're going to be cooking at home more, you're going to be getting up early and working out, so you have made those goals pretty public.
Very
at least,
public,
very public, well, to the viewers at home, and everyone in the office knows about them as well.
I know everyone's going to be hashtagging real stories. How's Courtland doing on her goals?
Exactly right, exactly. Well, that was a good video. You know, our interns didn't disappoint, and the people of New York, although some were characters with the fuzzy hat, they had a lot of good things to say, so I really enjoyed this segment. And now, Courtland, we're going to move on, and we're going to shine the spotlight on elderly health. And as I mentioned, we're going to break it up into 3 sections. And the first section here that we want to talk about is really, really important, right? They're all equally important, don't get me wrong. But proper nutrition really starts things out, because if you don't have proper nutrition, I think everything else kind of falls apart. You know, if you're not eating well, you're probably not exercising well, your brain function might not be working well, and you're probably not feeling too good about yourself to socialize. So I think this is really the key to starting off the discussion. It's proper nutrition, and so let's use that as our jumping off point.
Yeah, well, I was really excited to actually have this be a topic of discussion for us today, because, Dave, as you know, I have a 92-year-old grandmother back home in Illinois. Hey, Nana.
Shout out.
Yep. And, you know, she's in excellent health, and it's important to me that she continue to be in excellent health. And I think she follows actually a lot of these guidelines without us having spoken to her about it before. And so proper nutrition is something that's very important to my grandmother. I know there are certain things that she can't eat because of medications that she's on and things like that, but she still tries to be very healthy in her diet. And so, you know, proper nutrition is really important for increased mental acuteness, resistance to illness and disease, and it can also help to give you faster recuperation times when you do fall ill, and it also gives you better management of chronic conditions. Now, when we're talking about proper nutrition, your diet doesn't necessarily have to be a burden to you. You know, it doesn't have to be a sacrifice and about following these really strict dietary guidelines, but just having nutritious meals, eating the rainbow. You know, we'll give you some guidelines as we go through the show today.
Yeah, absolutely. A couple of things I want to say. First of all, Nana, for 92, you came back from holiday, showed me the pictures, especially the really great picture of her holding the great-grandchild, right?
Yes.
First of all, I hope I live to 92, and if I do, I hope I'm lucky enough to look as good as she does, because wow, she's really taken very good care of herself. And I want to make another point. You talk about some foods and, you know, not being able to eat some foods because of the medication you're on. And I think it's really important before you change up your diet. or really make drastic changes at least to it, you consult with your physician or a nutritionist.
Yep.
Because you're right, depending on some of the medications, and it's not just for the elderly, quite frankly, it's for everybody. You know, if you're on some of the heart medications, you have to be really careful about eating very acidic things like grapefruit and oranges. So, you know, be cautious, talk to your physician or your nutritionist before you go changing everything upside down. Now, it is never too late to change though.
Right.
Right? So just if you've eaten poorly in the past or you haven't really focused on nutrition, it's never too late to change, and you can do that. Now, you mentioned another good point, the rainbow of colors, eating bright, colorful vegetables. Some of the green, leafy greens, right, like the kale and the spinach, really, really important. The Brussels sprouts. And I really do like your point about eating well and eating healthy doesn't have to be a burden. And, you know, I think if you break the cost down, you know, we've all heard the stories, well, I don't eat well because it's so expensive to eat well. I don't think that is a justifiable answer. Because I think if you break the cost down and you look at it over time, compared to the overall cost of not only eating well, but the cost of your health in general, I think if you have a proper diet, proper nutrition, it's actually going to save you money in the long term.
Yeah, and if you live in a food desert or an area where getting fresh fruits and vegetables is a scarce commodity, you know, there are also some grocery delivery services. I mentioned to you, Dave, yesterday that I actually just started up my Fresh Direct account again because of my goal of cooking at home 3 nights a week. So, you know, there are some services out there that you can keep in mind. But going back to nutrition for elderly health, there are some key nutrients that are really important for helping to maintain brain function. And a lot of these nutrients can be found in fruits, leafy greens, like you said earlier, and fish and nuts that are really rich in those omega-3 fatty acids that we talk about on the show and in the daily dose all the time. Now, these omega-3 fatty acids can really help to improve focus and also decrease your risk of Alzheimer's.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, we have talked about the omega-3s quite a bit on Daily Dose. And I think a week ago we talked about farm-raised salmon versus the wild salmon.
Yes.
And we all know that the wild salmon is more rich in the fatty omega-3s that are more important to you. I also know, we've talked about nuts, right? So, and not that I'm nuts, but we talked about, you know, nuts, eating nuts, right? A little bit. Almonds, right? Another good source.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not talking about, you know, the salted ones or the, you know, the ones with all the flavoring on them. Just the plain almonds are really nutritious. Cashews are another one. So, you know, you look around in the nut family, there's some really great things. And it's so easy to take a little bag of almonds into work with you, put them in your book bag or your briefcase, take them into the office, and they're a very healthy snack.
They are a really healthy snack. And aside from almonds and some of these other things, there are some really important things that we want to cover to give some, you know, guidelines for what you should be looking out for. And so one of the key things that you should really be consuming throughout the day, every day, is water. Now, when we age, we are more prone to dehydration because sometimes our bodies can sort of lose the ability to regulate fluids, so your sense of thirst may not be as sharp. Very good job on that water intake there, Dave.
Thank you.
You know, so you may want to carry around a bottle of water or put notes around your house to remind you to sip on water a little bit throughout the day. I know some people who bring water bottles to work with them and carry them around throughout the day, so it's a physical reminder to do it. You know, and keeping hydrated is really important to avoid urinary tract infections, constipation, and even confusion.
Wow. Okay. I agree with you. A lot of water, 8 glasses recommended, right? At a minimum.
At a
very
minimum.
minimum. You know, the water bottles today are so convenient, right? Because they have the built-in straw you pop up. Most of them have the little clip. So if you're a student and, you know, you can clip it on your backpack, you know, although we're not talking about student nutrition here, we're talking more about elderly. It makes it convenient for the elderly to carry around the water bottles as well.
Yeah.
So I'm a big fan. Even, Courtland, I've seen some of the water bottles that have the integrated ice cube.
Yeah.
So you can take it out, put that in the freezer if you prefer cold water versus, you know, room temperature water. You can keep it cold during the course of the day. And some of the really high-end stainless steel water bottles really help to keep the water cool as well. So water, you got to drink it.
Yep.
keeps you hydrated. It also keeps your skin looking well. You know, your skin, especially in the wintertime, can get dried out. We talk about moisturizing all the time. We talk about my Nivea lip stuff I put on every day, multiple times a day, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, water helps you with that as well. So moving on, another one, Courtland, is vitamin B. As you age, you know, you have to have vitamin B. You need that to keep your blood vessels, you know, very vital and, you know, intact. So vitamin B, and it, you know, you tend as you get older to, the vitamin B doesn't really get absorbed into your body. So you have to look for foods that are high in vitamin B, or check your supplements. If you're taking a daily supplement, and again, I highly recommend if you start, talk to your physician about that, which one's the right one for you. But vitamin B is very, very critical.
And, you know, in addition to that, I want to touch really quickly on vitamin D, because I want to also get to some of our other components of the show. But vitamin D is essential for absorbing calcium into your body, boosting your muscles and your bone health. So you can get vitamin D from some sun exposure, but also from certain foods, such as the fatty fish that we talked about earlier, egg yolks, and also fortified milk. Now, if you're not getting enough vitamin D from sun or from some of these foods, you can also incorporate, like you said, a vitamin supplement.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's move along. You're probably wondering at home, we're talking about nutrition, we're talking about food. How much and how many calories should I be thinking about consuming every day? So here you go. These are some kind of broad brush rules, guidelines that you should think about. But again, talk to your nutritionist or your physician before you get on a diet. So here we go. I'm going to talk about females here, for example, and then you can talk about the male side of it. So women over 50 who are somewhat, I would say, minimally active. All right, they get up, they do some things, but you know they're maybe they're not as mobile as they used to be. If you're minimally active, a calorie count of 1,600 calories a day is probably in the range for you. Now, if you're moderately active, you walk, you do some things, maybe you're cleaning the house, you're out for a stroll in the afternoon, you can put that up to around 1,800 calories a day. But if you're very mobile, you're working out, you might be going to the gym, you might be doing some yoga, some other things, some water aerobics, you're going to social hour, you're highly engaged and highly active, you can put that up to about 2,000 calories a day. Now, keep in mind, these are just some broad brush guidelines here. Depending on what your other goals are, if you want to lose weight, gain weight, or maintain weight, you have to adjust your caloric intake accordingly there as well. So just kind of use these as kind of a general guideline for women over 50. Courtland, what about the men? What should we be thinking about?
Well, for men over 50, the caloric intake guidelines are a little higher. So for inactive men, around 2,000 calories a day is a really good benchmark for you. Moderately active men, 2,200 to 2,400 calories. And for very active men, around 2,400 to 2,600, 800 calories a day are going to be really good for you.
Okay. Should we move along?
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to talk about fitness next. Now, Courtland, you so well pointed out at the beginning of the show that fitness doesn't just mean physical fitness, it also means mental fitness. So here we go. You know, exercise is really good for your body. And as you age, you know, arthritis may start to set in, you're not as mobile, and exercising is going to help that out, right?
Yes. Yep.
Now, I'm not talking about going to the gym and squatting 500 pounds. That's not what we're talking about here. Exercise doesn't have to be, you know, that kind of mentality.
Right.
There's some things that you can do that are easy and that are slower that are going to help your joints, help your mind, help your body overall. And it's really going to make you feel good about yourself.
Yeah, you starting or maintaining a fitness regimen, I know, can sometimes be a little discouraging, especially if you live with a chronic illness or you have chronic pain due to a condition or, as you said, arthritis. And, you know, those are actually really good reasons for why you should get moving. Having a fitness routine is going to energize you, it's going to boost your mood, and it's also going to help manage your symptoms from an illness or pain.
Yeah, absolutely. We hashtag real stories. We want you to do the same. If you're kind of agreeing with what we're talking about here, or if you have some differences of opinion, we want to hear about those too, because we'll address them on other shows. So getting back to the, the exercise can also help you lose weight,
Yes.
right? So there's a couple of different ways to exercise, at least the way I think about it. There's cardio, right, which will good for your heart, right?
Yeah.
Help you lose weight. And then if you want to bulk up or strengthen your muscles, there's light weight training. And it's an and, not an or, right? You can do cardio training and weight training, which is something I really enjoy, and I know you do as well, because you talk about how you change your workouts, up depending on, some of your goals that you have.
Yeah.
So again, it's, as you pointed out, it's going to help your mood. It's going to make you feel good about yourself. It's going to help maintain the weight that you want. And it's also going to help and improve your sleep, Courtland.
Yes, it is. I definitely notice when I'm working out that my sleep is a lot better. But earlier in the show we touched on how physical fitness also helps with your mental fitness. So being physically fit gives you much better brain function. It can help, with certain tasks like multitasking. It can help with your creativity and help with memory loss as well.
Yeah. Now you're probably wondering at home, you're saying to yourself, well, Dave, if I don't have to go to the gym and squat 500 pounds, what are some of the exercises that I can do? And lucky for you, we have some answers.
Yes, so walking is a really great form of exercise. Now, if it's cold outside or too hot outside in the summer, you can always go to a local shopping center and take a few laps around the mall in the early morning when it first opens up. And there's also a lot of really excellent seniors fitness classes available out there. I know that my grandmother actually takes quite a few.
Yeah. Water aerobics, another good one, right? Or any water sport. Yoga is another great one.
Yeah, Nana does both of those.
Really?
Yeah.
Good for you, Nana. If you're out there watching, hashtag real stories, because we want to hear about it. And you're right. So, a combination of different things. And I really enjoy going to the mall early in the morning and seeing all the folks walking and getting their exercise.
Yeah, well, I love that you brought up water aerobics and other water exercises, because those, I think, are an ideal form of exercise for people at any age. It's really easy on your bones and your joints, and you'll still work up quite a good sweat when you're doing it.
Yep. Okay, Courtland, we're coming down the home stretch here.
Yep.
Our last segment we want to talk about is social interaction. And wow, to me, this is really, really critical, especially in the elderly.
It is very important. And when you get older and you move or you retire, your social circles can tend to shrink. And this can be detrimental for your social interaction. But your social interaction is very important to stay sharp, stay healthy, and possibly ward off dementia. So Dave and I are going to cover a couple examples of how you can boost your social interaction as an elderly person.
Yeah, so I have a little story, a side story here. So my grandmother used to live in a senior home. And, every day at noon, the mailman would come. And the social interaction at about 11:45, everyone would congregate at the front door, waiting for the mail guy to come to see if anybody got a letter. And I noticed in watching this that a lot of social interaction would take place there. I also noticed over the course of about a 7-year span, the mail guy, who was the same guy over the 7 years, gained a lot of weight, because not only were these people waiting for him, but they had cookies and snacks, and boy, this guy really had it made. If I were going to be a mail guy, I would want that route, because he really got treated very specially. So, if you're out there and you're thinking about putting a loved one in a senior home or assisted living, make sure that they have some organized things that are going to get the folks out of their unit and together, congregating, whether that be singing or dancing or playing board games, in a social area. Those things are really, really important.
It is really important, and there are some really great benefits to being social. Aside from just making yourself feel good, it can potentially reduce your risk of Alzheimer's, and keeping your brain active is also very important for staying in conversation with your family and your friends. So we have some tips for ways to stay connected and more benefits as well, right, Dave?
We do. Do you want to share the first one with us?
I do, yeah. So some ways to stay connected, and these are actually really simple tips. You can stay in touch with just phone calls and visits. Or Facebook is also a really good way. My grandmother is on Facebook, and she just sent me a Facebook message the other day all the way from Illinois, so I thought that was really awesome. You can volunteer in your local community or visit the senior center. I know that the senior center in Lake Forest has a lot of really excellent events that my grandmother participates in often.
Very good. I asked for one. You gave me all three. Good job, Courtland Long. Good job, Nana. Keep up the good work. Glad to see you on Facebook as well. You know, another thing is Healthy0360. What a great social platform to come on, connect with others just like you, right?
Yeah.
Who may be thinking about exercise or fitness or, you know, living with a certain condition.
Yeah, we have a lot of excellent tips on Healthy0360 for people of any age of how to live well and healthy.
Yeah, so social interaction is really key. Okay, Courtland, so let's back up and let's, you know, it's when you present, it's always, you know, tell them what you're going to tell them, and then tell them what you told them. Right?
Yep.
So now we're to the point of the program where we're going to tell you what we told you, and here we go. We talked about nutrition. That was first up, and eating healthy, and the importance of that, right? Critically important. That sets the baseline for everything else. If you're not eating healthy, you're probably not exercising healthy. You probably don't feel great about yourself, so the social interaction might be limited. So nutrition, it's really key. You got to really eat healthy, and it doesn't take a lot of money to do that. Over the long run, you're going to save money, and you can change your eating habits at any time.
Yes.
So, Courtland, the second one was?
Fitness, not
That's right.
only physical fitness, but also mental fitness.
Absolutely. I like that one. You got to stay physically fit. You have to stay mentally fit. And the last one was social interaction. Highly important, right? Engage with your friends. And, you know, you really make a good point. As you get older in age, maybe as you approach your 70s, 80s, 90s, your social circle tends to shrink.
Yes.
Right, so it's very, very important for those that remain in your social circle at those, you know, at the upper age limits there, to keep those social interactions alive and well, and use technology to help you out, because that's what it's there for.
Yes, and you can always make new friends if you go to the senior center or some of the other things, you know, that we talked about. My grandmother jokes that all of her friends her age have unfortunately passed away, and so now she has friends who are my mother's age, you know, but she loves it and it keeps her young and healthy.
Absolutely, and with the new great-grandbaby, she's socially active, she looks like she's fit, she looks like she's eating healthy, so all the way around she's doing a fantastic job. Well, Courtland, thanks for the conversation.
Yeah, Dave, thank you.
Absolutely, and I'd like to thank you for tuning in. I have to thank our sponsors, as always, because they, of course, make this all possible. Remember, all of our episodes can be viewed on demand at healthy0360.com at any time. And our podcast, I knew I was going to not get through without a fumble here. Our podcast can be found in the iTunes store. Now, we talked a lot about social media in this segment, and we like social media. Courtland?
Well, Healthy0360 loves social media, and we're all over Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Pinterest, and we use the hashtag #RealStories when posting. We'd greatly appreciate it if you would do the same. On behalf of Dave Duplay, myself, and the entire Healthy0360 family, we'd like to thank you for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you again next week when we're chatting with Kyle Brooten about surviving testicular cancer.